Hello, YouTube family. I'm Ken. I'm the other part of Bridget, the Fergusons, and as we share our journey, I wanted to take this time to do a special episode because I feel like this needs emphasis. People have dealt with this kind of situation, and I want to tell my story uncut. Just a disclaimer: it's not to attack anyone, or to bring bad light on anyone. Cause listen, we all creatures in this world on this journey. Every day we're growing, we're changing, we're learning. But listen, I'm the type of person I want to give it to you straight up. I want to give it to you raw. So as you know, I married my beautiful wife Bridget. I'm so much in love with her. I've never been in love, but I have to take you back on this journey to 2004. Now, I finished college in about 2002. I was young. I was in my very early 20s, and I was heavily involved in church, heavily involved in ministry. At that time I was preaching, and I was on fire. I was very enthusiastic about my walk in my journey with God, and my spiritual life had begun to take an upheaval. I would go to places and preach and prophesy. And I'm not all about religion. Like, I believe in balance, but we met in ministry, we met in church, and the people around, and mind you, this is about 2004. The people around, they were ministers, they were apostles and prophets, and they co-signed on the marriage between me and my first wife. And I saw red flags from the beginning. Before we married, we probably dated for less than probably about 2 or 3 months. But I was so on fire for God that I was like, you know what, I'm a single man. I want to be married, because come on, let's be 100. It's a struggle. It's a struggle at times as you're a single believer trying to walk after the will and the purpose of God. And listen, I have failed many times. I was in different relationships, and I would fall into sexual sin. So I was just hungry and eager just to have a wife, to fill that, to trying to fill that void. So I met this young lady. As a matter of fact, she was let's just say this: she was from another country. She wasn't a citizen of this country, and we got married really quickly. And when we got married, even on the first night, she didn't want to consummate the marriage, and there were just red flags all over the place. And I held on to it, because I was like, you know what, like this, if the religious people around me said that she was the one for me, that it looked good, then who am I to go against what they were saying? But I kept ignoring the red flags. We had problems, we had challenges. Then about the second year, a baby comes into the picture. Now, mind you, that really did something in the realm of vulnerability, because sometimes we go through certain things, and it kind of gives us certain dimensions of grace, like because I was not raised by my biological father. Like, I just had a certain level of grace to tolerate so many things within a marriage that basically was telling me that it was toxic, that was basically telling me that, hey, that love does not live here. So that's what I believe kept me holding on. But on the flip side of it, my partner, I believe what kept her holding on too, namely in the beginning, was because this individual kind of needed me to establish themselves as a citizen of the United States. So there were agendas, and I said that in the last episode. She had an agenda there. So but I walked into it, not to say that I'm Mr. Perfect and I'm so high and spiritual, but listen, I walked into it with the pureness of my heart. But this person, I believe, really had an agenda. So again, year one, it was a struggle. It was never love there. I never felt love. Even in the sexual department, it always felt like a strain. And that's the thing on your journey. Like, some things, when they don't feel right and you see these red flags, stop right there. find the strength and stop and ask questions, stop and do the difficult work, because if you keep going, you're gonna fall into destruction. But again, year 2 comes and baby is in the picture, so now I'm invested into the situation. And listen, I love my son, I love my child, but I gotta keep it 100 with you. And listen, I tell my son the truth, I tell him how it is, because it's better to be honest and tell people the way it is instead of put up a front. But that's a whole nother episode. So again, I'm 2 years into it, baby's in the picture. I'm supporting the family, working hard, in some instances working 2 jobs, and we kind of just were making it. We were barely making it. We basically had, for the most part, a sexless marriage. I wasn't happy. I was just settling. This person didn't have the qualities and the characteristics that I wanted in a woman. Like, I wanted a godly woman. I wanted a praying woman. And again, I was mature enough to a certain level to understand that, listen, you're not going to get anyone perfect. So I kept trying to work with it. And the red flags and the signs were all over the place. They were, in our sex life. There were times, for months, we would go without having intimacy. And I found myself in a place where, like, work was my refuge. Like, I did not want to come home to that person because they were so toxic. Why were they toxic? Because they were not in love with me. They didn't love me. They were there because of something, and they were going to ride, in my opinion, they were going to ride this thing out and get what they wanted. So, again, we're doing life. About year 3, 4, probably year 5, we purchased a home. Things were going very well. This individual, she started bringing her family from overseas, and again, the red flags were all over the place. So it's like, once this individual's family came into the picture, things really begin to change. The attitude began to change. The whole mindset just began to change. And I began to really say, wow, all of those red flags that I was seeing were really blowing up. Because during the course of the marriage, I would tell this individual, listen, are you, and it was a saying back in that time in the early 2000s, they're just not into you. And I always used to say this to this individual, but they would deny it. So to shorten it, to condense the story a little bit, I fast forward to about 2014. I kind of slowed down with my career. I slowed down working as much, and I was at home, and we had time to spend with each other. And that basically what began to really reveal to me that this individual, they did not love me. They did not love, a lot of things about me, that they were just kind of here because they had a need, and about 2015, things began to hit the fan. And it's like some of the things that I told this person, through the course and in the beginning, it was just coming to pass. I would tell her things like, hey, you don't love me. They would deny it. But fast forward to 2015, this individual was like, yeah, I was never in love with you. And that devastated me, because I'm like, well, how do you walk down the aisle with someone that you were never in love with? Why? Because I got an agenda, and I'm worried about my needs, what my needs are, and that's not a loving person. That's not your divine match. God is not going to send you someone who's not ready, who's not developed, who hasn't been through their process, who hasn't dealt with things inside of themselves. Why would God match you with somebody and you a walking time bomb? You haven't been healed, you haven't been delivered from certain things. That goes even for people not in the church. Why would you want to be with a partner, who's not on the same wavelength, who's not as mature as you are? Why would you want to be unequally yoked? But again, things begin to really get ugly by the time 2016 came around. And during that time, my life kind of took a downheaval. And, a lot of things within the marriage and the red flags I saw in the beginning were coming out. And a lot of things were being said that I knew and I saw signs of it, but it was just coming out. And I realized, in a sense, that, I basically was scammed, because this person really had no intention of being here long term. This person really had no intention of committing their life to this. They were just in it for a season. They were in it because they wanted something. They needed something from me. And it was not pure, genuine love. And that was not my divine match. But things also got ugly because now, I have certain assets. And, this individual, along with, their family that they brought here, who suddenly gave them different strength now. Now they're in a place where they want to fight me for my assets, and the whole language changed, and the script just got flipped on me. I found myself in situations where, I work for the government, I work for DCF, and I had a police at my door because this individual is just so adamant about getting this house out of the deal, the divorce, which they had already worked out that they was gonna divorce me before I even knew anything. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, when you see these type of red flags in these relationships, in these situations, listen, that's not nothing that the Father ordained for you to be in. That's nothing for you to sit in, because it's gonna be toxic. It's gonna damage you. So you gotta recognize these signs. You gotta see these things, and even as you're out there dating and mingling, you gotta watch for the woman or the man that has that purity, that has that love, that wants to build. You gotta grow past those stages where you want to play around. Like, marriage is serious. It's a union. It's no longer just about you, but it's about us. So again, it was a struggle. It was a fight. And again, I said it in the previous episode, I was in a place of love and war. Like, this individual literally was trying to fight me for some of my assets. And it hurt me dearly because I did it in church. I tried to do it the right way. We had one child. I tried to keep it together. I tried to hold the family together. But let me tell you something. Someone who don't want it is not gonna have what it takes to make it survive. So it gotta be a mutual effort, and if you're with someone that's not putting in the mutual effort to make it work, then that's not for you. It may hurt you, it may frustrate you. You may be in denial, but listen, the best thing you can do in those type of situations is separate yourself and let God take you through the process. So again, 2016 came. I sold the house and we went our separate ways, and things just got really ugly, even to the point where, I don't know where this individual is staying. I don't know where they are with my son, and just that person became a totally different individual. Why? Because they had an agenda. Their agenda was not for me. Their agenda was not for love. And listen, men, even women, let me tell you something. Stop looking for that pretty package. Stop looking for that thing that's dressed up and looks good, because it may look good, but listen, you need somebody who wants to be loved and who wants to give love. Stop settling for toxic relationships. Stop settling for 90%. God wants you to have someone that's going to give you 100%, because when they give you 100%, they're going to help birth you. They're going to help you on this journey, because listen, man was not made to be alone. And listen, I'm not telling you that, you need to be in a relationship, but listen, God have ordained marriage as a divine union, and you have to mature into the place where you're ready to walk out your vows with integrity. And listen, I'll tell you, even in my previous marriage, I failed sometimes. I messed up. I played around. Why? Because I was in a toxic situation. I felt that this individual was emotionally unavailable most of the time. Why? Because that wasn't for me. That was not my divine match. But guess what? I thank God for it, because it prepared me. So again, I can openly open myself up and tell you, yeah, I fell victim to a scandal. I fell victim to a game, and I was hurt and embarrassed for so long. But listen, now I can talk about it openly, because, I received what I know is God's plan. I received a woman that I know that I love. And again, in that marriage, I never felt love. All those years, never felt love. But as he brought me into my divine match, I fell in love, and I have never been in love. Mind you, I'm a 43-year-old man. I'm not a spring chicken. So again, I just want you to know that There are agendas out there. Listen, be careful and watchful for agendas, because listen, sometimes people have different agendas. It may not be a green card. It may be for attention. It may be for, financial reasons. And all of those are the wrong reasons. So I want you to be careful. I want you to be mindful and know and understand that, listen, you don't need to be with anyone for any other agenda but divine love. And that's the only type of love that's going to last. That's the only type of love that's going to make you happy. So again, it's me sharing my journey. Me and my wife Bridget, we just want you to know, we want you to be informed, because it's a lot of things to navigate. It's easy to fall into something and keep on giving yourself excuses as to why you should stay and remain in something toxic. No, that's not what the Father planned for you. He wants you to be happy. So again, I'm signing off. We'll be back with the next episode, getting raw, getting dirty. And listen, I'm an open book. You can ask me any questions. Yeah, it happened to me. It felt bad, but at the same time, I learned so much. I learned so much about people from that marriage. And I hope that you'll learn and you'll get insight and you'll apply the principles so that you can shift into what God needs you to shift in.